reach up under here, there's actually a hole here. This is a drawer, a hidden drawer. This is the first key, the first sequential tool. Inside, we have several different bench planes. I have a 4-plane, 2 block planes, a jack and a smoother, and then we have saws, including 2 dovetails, a crosscut and a carcass, and 2 combination squares. Drawer, we have the key. And the key opens the door. Inside, we have 3 drawers. 3 drawers is not odd, it's normal. Drawers that hold things. Right now this doesn't have anything, but it will at some point. It can get a little heavy, you can get up to about 60 pounds, but it's good for that, and it will sustain. There's a Stanley rabbet plane, bullnose rabbet plane has the place for the bullnose up here, as well as the standard. This blade can move to the front, as most of you already know. Piece doesn't open. So what are we missing here? Well, there's a lock inside. And the lock, as I said, was something that I modified based on another puzzle box that I own. It's a pretty common design. Back row, we have chisels. One thing you do not want to do when you're sitting at your bench is to do something like take your sharp items and stick them in the dog holes. Have them just sitting there, taking up room. For example, one of these, stick it in there and leave it there, and then reach under to do something, mark your hand up. So you definitely don't want to do that. And so this chisel rack on top gives me a safe place to put my chisels, as well as pliers, scissors, screwdrivers, anything like that. Just anything that, all the different things that I put in there for, depending on what I'm doing. Spoiler alert, I'm about to solve the puzzle. There's only one of these, I only built one, so unless I give this away, there's probably no chance of you actually having this and trying it out. But if you're a serious puzzler and don't want to see how this is done, that's what I'm about to do. Up here is used a lot for woodworking, and so it can be used for art, but I use it primarily for woodworking. This is where I keep drafting tools, things like triangles, little French curves, and most importantly, the architect's rule or draftsman rule. This is very helpful using with graph paper. Plus, there's always a compass, or one of these, as well as pencil and an eraser. Also keep an eraser in here. So this, any pencils, anything like that would be kept in here. Today, we're up in the hottest part of the house, the room directly over my workshop in the garage. And so you'll have to excuse seeing only some of me because we're really focused on the table. This is a table I made several years ago. I wanted to try making a table just out of 2x4s, and so that's what I did. Its primary use is to store wood. Welcome back to the workshop. This is Ritual Woodworking, and this is the third installment in my series on the small workshop. So this is the tool rack, or wall storage. This is actually at the back of the workshop, and you never see it in the videos because it's behind the camera. And look what we have in the bottom. The bottom of this, pencils. These things are always getting away from you and getting lost. And so there's pencils in here, and there's a Band-Aid and some screws. And so there's just a lot of, this is a nice little wedge to use. It's just things to keep nearby when you need them on a project. The paper towels out of the way so you can see what's going on back there. It does have a light, it turns on. It's not the greatest thing in the world, but if I'm just in here working at this spot, let's say I can work here when the car is right here, right in this area where the camera is. And I can still sit in here, work at the spot, and this light is sufficient. I also have overhead fluorescent bulbs, and so I have plenty of light in here, night or day, cloudy weather, doesn't matter. But this is a nice little light. You have a tool rack on the back. The back has metal with holes. First thing we do, how do we get in? There's a puzzle up here. There's a keyhole here. Otherwise, but nothing's gonna, we can twirl it around. Now, you know, twirling my puzzles don't really ever get you anywhere, so I'm not even gonna waste my time with that. Well, first thing we gotta do is let's remove the puzzle. So this is, again, this is Central Box. And one thing I'll note, on my videos, I will not solve any commercially made puzzles. Because I want you to figure that out on your own, or you can check out the videos from Puzzle Wanderer, Downtime, Mr. Puzzle, Chris Ramsey. There's plenty of people out there who are really good at doing videos about the Puzzle Guy is another one. These are all, and probably some others that I don't even know about, are great video channels to watch if you want to see a solved video. But if you're cutting a long board, put the board out the end, work your way through until you get to this point, then you just extend some more, or use the other way and have your board across this way, and with your knee down on it. And there are plenty of videos out there on how to use a saw bench, so check some of those out. But this is a piece that was made from scraps so I just open those up, and this was originally going to be a drawer, but I decided I would get more use out of the space by making it open on all sides than putting a drawer in, because then I would lose some space, and you know how I am about losing space. So inside, this is a bench hook I made years ago somewhere else, not here. And then I have this little divider box, and made at the same time as the tote. But what you have is you have two blocks of wood, and they are chamfered on the side. And then you have another piece also chamfered, angled on that side. And so as you push a piece through, it'll clamp it in place. And so a little piece of molding here, put that piece in, there. It holds it in place. It's not going anywhere. And so from there, put it in my vise. Put that nice and tight. I'm working in reverse here, but basically take your, if I was standing on the other side where I'd like to be, and if the blade was out, it would plane. It goes in, there's one on one side and one on the other. And then they're in place. Get a board. I should note that in addition to the Works Pegasus my friend was generous and gave me these two boards for free. This is oak, this is mahogany. You do not turn down mahogany when you're working with puzzle boxes like I am. In fact, this board, this piece of mahogany, is puzzle box 4, which I have just started making. This will probably be puzzle box 5. Okay, moving on to the next thing. Like that. Done with this. And you see there's no knob. And this does not just slide out on its own. There's no way to get to it. So what I do is I pull out this drawer, reach back inside, and there's a button. The button releases the drawer. You can see it, there's a button. So, down here I have art supplies, Hanayama puzzles, more art supplies, and some secret stuff. I'll show you what that is in a minute. You're dealing with things that are going from this size to this size, and then you also throw in, something like this. A little extra padding could be good. A hole saw, which worked a little faster and gave me a finer cut, but this still worked in this setting. The only difference is that, it's rumbling around. And so if you have a loose concrete floor in your garage like I do, it's going to move around. And if that bothers you, that would be a drawback. Whereas on a European bench or a bigger bench, there may not, where you have the 4 solid legs, you won't have as much of a problem. And so there is a degree of, but it's not tipping over. I mean, it really has to rock and roll quite a bit before you have any kind of tumble. And I've never had it tumble over. That's never been an issue for me. Because I was using it on some Purple Heart I didn't want to damage. There you go. Yeah, bing bong. See what's going on here? Moving around. Now, I may be against the grain, and so there's a simple way. Take it on. Now you can, of course, play in the top if you're with the grain correctly. Which would be, if you're not with the grain on the Works Pegasus, you will know because it will turn right around. This thing is a scraper vise. If you have a cabinet scraper, and you're familiar with the use of those, occasionally you do have to actually sharpen them. And so what we do is put the item in here, like that. Get it into the vise, and then using the special burnisher, that's how I can do that. And if you have interest in using cabinet scrapers, or more importantly, sharpening them, check out someone else's video. I keep Michael Pokovich's video on sharpening these things always at hand in a playlist that helps me to reference it very easily when I need it. And so that's what this is for. This is for holding that clamp in place. I'm doing this so you can't see. Purple Heart hurts. Of note, if I am doing planing in this, I'm going to turn this over so I get the... So, if you have seen the other video about the small workbench, you'll know that we looked at some different types of woods. Types of woods that are, or not types of woods, sizes of woods. Let's put our board back and try again. Welcome back to the workshop, Richa Woodworking. A couple of weeks ago, I did... this week there would not be 2 weeks ago. We make them... If you're going to work with something like, where did I put it? It was just in my eyesight. Oh, there it is. Doing something like a router plane. On the flip side, or the other side, now these two drawers have mainly to do with instruction using the bench tongs. Can't do it with these. So this section is now done.